La Resortera.
All right, here we are again. We're here at another week of Pura Vida Perspectives podcast. If you watched last week's episode, we had Richard Bexon on. We talked about kind of a hodgepodge of information. There were so many like golden nuggets of information in that podcast. So if you're interested at all in real estate investing in Costa Rica, then I do think that one would be definitely worth a listen. So if you haven't listened to that, go back, give it a listen. You can learn about Richard, how he ended up here in Costa Rica about 20 years ago. And his journey so far. And today we're going to continue our chat with him. So, Heido, how's your guys' week been? How's everything?
It's been amazing. I've been pretty good. How?
Good, man.
I call him Rich. He's a friend of mine now.
Okay.
There you go. I feel like I've spent more time in the air this week than I have. I spend most of my time traveling the country. So this week was Nosara, Tamarindo, and Aranao. So
nice.
So yeah, we're all over the place.
It's quite a paradise, man. Let's start there. It's not only a job, but you get to see the beauty of Costa Rica.
Feels like a job most of the time, dude, to be honest with you. But yeah, you do get to see the beauty of it.
Yeah. I don't like driving around as much anymore. It's not as exciting.
Yeah.
Well,
I have my places, though, that like San Gerardo de Ota for me. Like I have a property there that I built a yurt. Like I built a luxury yurt. That's my go-to place.
We got to tell people San Gerardo de Ota is like
Cartago.
In the mountains.
Yeah, it's 9,000 feet, and it's 3 degrees Celsius at night and 24 during the day, and so I have a hot tub. I can fly fish, and like it's just different.
And it's funny you mentioned that because a lot of people come to Costa Rica and they think about beach, but this is completely the other side. The mountain, the green, the peace,
the chilly,
very quiet, very chilly. That place must be like
It's Europe.
Your own
That's
place.
it, man. It feels like Europe to me. When I'm up there, I'm like, wow, I'm in Europe, up in the Alps and those kind of things, just because of the mountains and it's nice. Cold but yeah, the beaches work for me, man. People are like, Rich, you're so lucky to work at the beach. I'm like, you want to come and spend a day with me? I'm hot, sweaty, walking around, sweaty. But I mean, yeah, it's a beautiful country and it's got so much stuff. I mean, you drive 30 minutes, the climate changes. There's so many microclimates. So when I want to be hot, you go to Guanacaste, go down to the beach. If like I want jungle, go to the central or southern areas. If I want mountains, I can drive 30 minutes up from my house and be at Barva.
What's your favorite Costa Rican food?
I love chifrijo, dude.
Yeah, there you go.
Too.
Accompanied with a nice cold
chifrijo.
beer.
That's it, man.
Imperial.
An Imperial. A freezing cold Imperial. The chicharrón. I love chicharrones.
Oh, chicharrones.
Qué rico. Un
I'm probably
chifrijo con una buena Imperial.
That's it, man. I love chifrijo. God, man, there's so much stuff. I just love pinto, dude. Whenever I travel and I come back to Costa Rica, the first thing is pinto.
That's my favorite meal. I could eat pinto for breakfast, for dinner, for lunch, at any time. Pinto is my...
I had casao yesterday with bistec en cebolla.
That's my... La cebolla bien quemadita, well-burned cebolla.
That's it, man.
So for some of you guys, like gallo pinto is very typical for Costa Rica. It's the kind of the rice and beans that they might serve in the morning. Chifrijo is like, rice. You get your
Beans,
avocado, tomato, pork.
Chopped pork.
Avocado.
Yeah. All mixed in there with some chips around the side. So good.
So before we really get into the topic we're going to get, it's interesting because you travel a lot through the country.
Correct, yeah.
And yeah, that's why I want to ask you about the food, the places you visit, what places do you like?
I mean, look, every area is beautiful. Like I was driving through Negra and Avianes the other day. I love Negra and Avianes because it feels like Costa Rica, like 25 years ago still. It's still not that developed.
Very virgin.
Like you can keep Tamarindo and Jaco. Like it's kind of just, it's there if you want to go and do it and have great restaurants. But like I like to go further out. Like I'd rather be staying in like the hills of Playa Hermosa and then have to go into Jaco, if you know what I mean. But I love Playa Hermosa. Like if I could find a beachfront hotel there to buy that is not a legal mess, and I've looked at them, Mario Bravo, those ones where it's just an absolute legal nightmare. I'm buying basically a cemetery with dead bodies everywhere. Not physically, but like from a legal point of view, there. But like, I mean, I just love the mountains here, man. That, the central valley area of just going up to Barva, the Heredia Mountains. I'm looking for property up there at the moment.
Birri,
all there, man. I mean, I looked at a property in Birri the other day and like it just, I mean, it was, look, I spend my whole life looking at real estate and stuff. So I know I'm going to end up buying land and building, I know, which I would not suggest for people to do. I'd be like, if you can buy before like the
That's
build.
one of the questions that I has for you.
Yeah, so today I thought we'd talk about kind of just the real estate market in general, what you found. we talked a little bit prior to the episode as to I'll advise my clients, if you can find what you want in the market in your price range, just buy, just make your life easy. So yeah, I thought you've had, so many years of insight and knowledge about the actual market. So I thought we'd talk about just kind of the real estate market in general and trends and maybe where you see things going perhaps.
I mean, someone asked me a minute ago of like, hey, I think it was you. You were like, hey, I've got some cash. Should I buy land now until, of where the markets get, because I don't want to get priced out the market. And my response to you was just take your money, put it into a CD at the moment, and I'd wait a year and a half, 2 years. The reason being is I think we're on a bit, we are like prices are reducing here. It went crazy. Everything's demand and supply. At the moment, we have an oversupply than the demand. I think everyone in the US is, and well, probably in the Western world is just taking a bit of a pause at the moment because politically they don't know what's going to happen. And which also has an impact in the stock market. Most people have their money in the stock market. So they're just like, look, I just don't know what's going to happen. And I don't know whether most people are willing to make that investment today. But there are other people who are like, I need to diversify outside of my main geographical location, which I completely understand. And Costa Rica is a great one there. But it's definitely on I would say a downward turn at the moment. I think anyone that's telling you it's on an upward is lying to you. Our data, we just spend tons of time looking at data. Like there is more listings being added than there are sales happening. The other day, a prominent broker told me that there are 100 homes between Dominical and Oaxaca over $1 million for sale.
Wow.
That's a lot.
So
both the response were the same, like, wow.
So the thing here is, if you're looking for $1 million home, you've got 100 homes to go and see.
Damn.
And and then I said it to someone else, and they were like, I bet you 20 of those are really worth $1 million.
Yeah.
The
other one are inflated.
Inflated, but also I'd say yes and also no. But yeah, I mean, like probably people a year ago went in at the peak and bought land. So they paid, I don't know, $300,000 for their.
They're just trying to get their money back.
Yeah, they may be getting their money back, or like, it's and this goes to the buy versus build thing of like we've just seen so much inflation like recently. Like we've seen prices increasing since post-pandemic. It started to slow down here. We've also seen a growth of the colon, like it's got stronger against the dollar. So, it was 700. It went down to 500. We've seen like a 40% swing. So the cost to build just went up 40%.
It did in the middle of mine.
So
mine too.
Imagine that. The cost to build went up 40%. So that's just that pain is now being passed on to the person that's buying.
I'm going to pause you right there. Sarah and I, we built at the same time.
Okay.
And we make dollars. And we started building when the dollar was high.
Yep.
And it just went like this.
Yeah.
All the way down.
It added $20,000 onto my construction.
Exactly.
But I had the two going. And one contract was in dollars and one was in colones, which is so, I don't know why we did that.
And there's a pro and con
so
to
it balanced out.
Here's the thing. We make dollars, but we buy all the materials in colones.
Correct.
Yeah.
So we're losing money because the dollar would start going down. It really hurt my pocket.
Well, it hurt your pocket. So imagine, and a lot of people got burnt during this, was like the key in hand contracts, and Manual contract, which basically is exactly, it's X amount for me to build your home. And they calculated their numbers on, say, 700.
Yeah.
What their projects ended up happening was a lot of builders were like, dude, I can't finish your project.
Yeah.
So like now I just tell clients, I'm like, don't even bother with a key in hand because it's so padded now because they're so scared of like where it's gone that they're putting 20, 30% on top of this. So, and I've seen it in our own projects where it'd be like, oh no, to build that key in hand is 900,000. Okay, how much is it administration? Which is basically just, you pay for the materials and pay a price. Oh, it's 775. And you went from 900 to 775 just by changing the contract. And I'm like, the column where it's at the moment is not going to drastically further reduce. Like there's going to be some movement up and down, but I don't think we're moving. Like the president's been like, dude, get used to this number of where it's at.
It's gonna stay there for a while.
So, I mean, it's going to be around where it is. So I just say to clients that use us, I'm like, dude, if you're going to build, you've got us to manage your project for you. So don't pay, 20, 30% more. Like we're there to manage all of that expenses for you to make sure it's done as well. So like, okay, you take on some more risk because if prices do go up, but also is they're not going to move that much, and we'll find ways to value engineer your project anyway. But yeah, I mean, look, I think generally in the market at the moment, I think it's post US election, I think we've just seen an influx of people going, hey, I want to kind of either get out of jail free card, a second location, second residency, or people are like, I'm out. So I think we've seen that. I think that might calm down a little bit, over the next coming months. We'll see, but you never know. And with that is also as you're not seeing all these kind of, people look at, post-pandemic with all this money coming into the country looking to buy. I think what we're seeing here is that there's a lot of lower end stuff, and I say lower end stuff, $500,000 and below, selling. That stuff sells every day. Stuff in the multi-millions, $2, $3, $4 million, like those buyers are buying because for them, they're paying in cash. And if you're spending $2, $3, $4 million, they're probably worth 50 million, 30, 40, 50 million. So for them, it's not really that an impact. Well, the market where it's tough is that 500 to 1.25 million mark. Like that's the difficult because that's like middle class America, if that makes sense. It's probably looking to do that. And that's probably who's suffering, or taking that pause, and we've started to see it in tourism. Look, tourism drives real estate in this country. I don't know why no one understands that.
They come down, they fall in love. I hear it, with my consults. We came on a vacation. It was so amazing. The people were so wonderful. We just fell in love with Costa Rica. Now we want to come back on a scouting trip so that we can check out areas that would be maybe more in for where we could live. And, now we want to look at moving down. So I see that connection every day.
What happens if that number drops 10%?
Uh-huh.
Like there are less tourists coming to Costa Rica, so there's less of that, if that makes sense, which means there's less people buying real estate. So real estate sales are down 10%, but the supply is there, And so we're in this weird flux at the moment where there is less demand, less tourists coming in, which means less demand for real estate. Real estate prices are somewhat inflated. Some people are going to start to move. You're already seeing the word fire sale being thrown around, especially a lot in Guanacaste where stuff just went nuts. So I think it's just a tricky moment in time here at the moment. And, recessions are created by a pause. And my advice to some people sometimes is just take a pause, and I'm like, damn, am I helping people create a recession here? But there's still value out there. It's very difficult to get perspective, but that's why people, work with us and, in order to get that perspective of like what still has value. Do
you think tourism's dropping because Costa Rica's expensive? Because I have heard,
yes.
I've met tourists and they're
100%.
It's so expensive, or I don't think we're going to come back because we can go somewhere else. And
well, that and just people are taking a pause. Like it's not cheap to come to. How much does it cost to come on vacation to Costa Rica?
It's not cheap.
$3,000, $4,000, $5,000, like just for a 4-star, vacation, 3.5, 4-star. Like if you go in the top parts, it's $20,000, $30,000. But like, I think again with this uncertainty, people are just going, you know what? I don't think we want to spend, that amount of money on a vacation. Well, a family vacation down here is probably like $8,000 or more, And so they're just going,
and for 1 week.
Correct. So they're going, you know what? Let's just take a pause here and we'll see what's going to happen. That pause, though, of course, has now gone the airlines going, well, there's not as much search for Costa Rica, so then let's cut the flights. The tourism minister, of course, is like, hey, no, but tourism numbers are down because they cut the flights. I'm like, the airlines don't just cut flights. They cut flights when the demand is not there. Like they're at the tip of the spear. Yeah. So they're telling us here of like demand for Costa Rica is going down, but demand for travel just in general is down. I think the only countries that are up is like Guatemala and El Salvador, but like they were so small anyway to begin with that, I think with Bukelele, like, with all the PR and everything that he's doing, a lot of people are interested, but the people going to there are not the people coming to Costa Rica. I sat with the head of the Tamarindo Tourism Board the other day, and they were like, oh, El Salvador is taking clients from us. I'm like, El Salvador's not taking clients from you. It's a totally different client. The client that goes to Tamarindo is not going to El Salvador. No. No. Very different, clients. But I mean, just to generalize, tourism numbers are going to drop this year. I think anywhere from like 5 to 8% in general. And I how that looks the following year, I don't know. But we're definitely returning to seasonality. The numbers are going to drop, and I think you're going to start to see real estate prices drop.
And the thing is that, I'm in the car rental business. Remember, we were stuck 2 years in our houses. After 2 years, people wanted to travel. People wanted to go out. Mm-hmm. Now everything is going back to normal, where people have, they're done their travel and everything. So I think part of the numbers decreasing is because of that also.
They spent a little too much.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, look, it takes a while for real estate to wash out in Costa Rica. It's usually 6 to 9 months behind the US because a lot of it's cash buyers typically that come in and buy stuff. So unless they're really desperate, they're not going to lower their prices. But there's going to come a point where it sits on the, like things are sitting on the market. I think Coldwell Bankers the other day came out with a thing that like stuff is sitting on the market nearly twice as long as it was doing, a couple of years back. And thanks to those guys for, giving that data out. It's just everything is slowing down a little bit. But because those cash buyers came in, they may not be desperate to get rid of it. So the prices are just going to kind of stay where they're at the moment. But after a while, everyone's going to call uncle at some point and go, look, I need to kind of get out of this. I'm having 2 conversations a week with developers here who are like, dude, I've got this development. Like, can you help me with this? Like, do you want to come in and buy some lots and stuff? And I'm like, no, not yet, dude.
Interesting. So for someone, because I've had some conversations with people that they seem to be kind of in a rush and they're, well, I want to get down there and get something now before, it's just going to keep going up. And I'll usually tell them it's still a buyer's market. I don't think there's any reason to ever come down and be in a rush to buy. Okay, maybe I had someone I talked to the other day. They said, well, we might not move for the next 8 years. And I did tell them, I said, well, maybe in that case, it could be, obviously the market's going to change within 8 years. It's probably going to at some point go up. But I was like, if you're looking at 1 to 2, I was like, you shouldn't rush down and buy. What would you say to someone in those situations?
Yeah, I mean, I would always rent before you buy, just because getting into Costa Rica is easy. Getting out is not always easy.
Yeah.
But it also is that, like, okay, what's your goal? And that's the question we ask everyone is, what's your goal? Like, is your goal to rent this at some point when you're not using it? Because then it becomes a cash flow, like, analysis rather than it becoming, an emotional decision. There's going to be emotion, there's going to be logic. But we just ask our clients, okay, what percent is investment and what percent is like lifestyle? Yeah. Because if it's investment, it's a totally different conversation than no, it's lifestyle. Because if it's investment, we're talking returns, investments, etc. If it's lifestyle, we're talking emotions a little bit more.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I'm not expert in this. Ada is the expert, but I have learned from her. And some of my clients asked me, like, Jairo, what do you recommend I should buy? I was like, what I learned from the expert is that you come and you rent. You rent 3 months in Grecia, 3 months in Cartago, 3 months in Jaco, 3 months in Guanacaste, and you find out exactly where you want to settle.
Well, I mean, the thing here, man, is, again, you buy a property here and you don't like the neighborhood. The thing might sit on the market for 6 to 12 months before you sell it. And, it's the price that you got in, etc. So you need to just take your time, man. Costa Rica's not going anywhere. Yeah. Like, I think there's a lot of, like, all this noise out there of like, buy now is a great time. You got to buy. And I'm always like, dude, just take your time.
Will you buy and build, or will you use to buy?
I always say to people at the moment, like, look, if you can buy, just buy. Okay. And the reason I say buy is just because the cost to build now, based on the exchange rate, it's $200 a square foot. It's the same price as the US in some areas. Whereas that number used to be $150 a while back. And you can still build at 150. We've done some projects at 150, my own projects, but I've valued engineered the crap out of them, dude. Like, I've just taken all the bells and whistles off to get it there. And I'm using everything that I've got. But I would suggest that, like, look, if you can buy. I know the idea of building in Costa Rica sounds great, and you might want to build your dream home if you can't get what it is that you want. And if you're going to build, then it opens a whole nother can of worms. From like the architect's not going to listen to your budget. He's going to build, something for the front of a magazine. Bid your project out, because sometimes you're only using, like, sometimes people are like, no, I've already got my builder. I'm like, you don't have a design yet. Why would you choose your builder when you don't have a design? No, he's going to design it for me. I'm like, why would you have an engineer?
Doesn't make sense.
Mm-hmm.
Do an artistic thing for you? Like, engineers are scientists. Yeah. Like, have your artist do your artist bit, and have your scientist do your scientist bit.
Mm-hmm.
And I started laughing because, how do you call maestro de obras?
Like a foreman.
Yeah.
Those guys that are day to day on the...
Yep.
And I remember when I started to... I did the design with the designer, and then we were going to find the crew to build the house. And he goes, like, the maestro de obras here in Costa Rica, man, they're one of a kind. Yeah, they like to drink a lot. They like to party a lot. You know that they're going to show up the next day. My maestro de obras was quite a guy, man. Like, on Mondays, like, he will always be late or we won't come up. But he was a good guy. So, you have to keep your maestro de obras, because at the end of the day, he's the one that holding up together on a daily basis. So if you build, you got to know it's going to be a pain in your ass, because building to what you want is complicated.
I think it depends who you choose, though, because my building experience, I felt, went really smooth. My workers were very professional. They wore their shirts. And then at some point, like, so actually they finished up my house first. So I was living next to them as they were finishing the other one. And I thought they were amazing. And they did a really good job. I watched other houses get built in my neighborhood. So one a few doors down. Those guys were drinking while they were making the pool over there. I mean, I'm like in my kitchen washing my dishes, like, what's going on over there?
And that's normal.
I'm like, they were having a party in the pool that they were, like, making the pool. I was like, what is going on? I would never recommend anyone buy that house that's down the street from me. And I'm like, that one, no. And then I've seen other ones go in on my street. My street's kind of the newer homes that have gone in. And I see other ones. I'm like, yes, this one was built very well. This had a very organized construction site.
that one?
I'm not an expert,
No.
but that one, no. That lady wants to sell for like a really ridiculous price too. I was like, no.
But I think going back to your question, buy versus build, if you can buy, then you don't have to wait 18 to 20 months in order to be able to use it.
Exactly.
Unless you do want to go through that process. Like, it can be a great process. It really can. You just need a really good team, man. And
Right people.
yeah, you just really do. And I mean, we do what, like 30 projects a year in that, and we just project manage it from like the architect making sure that they are designing to the budget, because that's where everything goes wrong at the beginning, man. Because a lot of the time is you'll say, I don't know, my budget's $500,000. They're going to build you an $800,000 home. You won't know that until you go out to bidding.
Mm-hmm.
And then when that bidding comes back, you're like, well, how do I reduce this 300,000? And the architect's like, well, I'm gonna have to redesign your house, and I'm gonna have to charge you for that. And you're like, wait, I just got to that point, and now I need to go back. Or what they do is go, don't worry, man. Gringos can afford this. Like, we'll just increase it to that amount, and then they'll pay it. Or what happens sometimes is you'll have someone come in and bid really low, and there's no way you can get that project done at that. Like, we look at a lot of projects sometimes, like, they're halfway through where it's been underbid, and the construction company's like, I don't have the money to finish this. I'd be like, dude, I could have told you 2 seconds that house, was a $750,000 build. They bid it at $500 to get the contract and knew there was no recourse. So they knew once you were in bed with them, there was no getting out of it. And now they've got you for another $250. Like, that happens all the time, the time, but it all starts at the beginning. Like, I'm always like, look, from the architect, make sure it's designed. And they'll put bells and whistles and stuff that you're like, dude, that's useless. Like, there's no need to do that. Like, okay, it looks great, but from a functionality point of view, it doesn't really work. That bedroom's too large. That bathroom's huge. Like, you're wasting space here and money. Thousands of dollars.
Where were you when I needed you?
I don't know. There's just so many houses that I've seen that just don't make sense. Like, because when you're like, the bedroom to like this, I'm like, there's so many houses that I walk into and I'm like, what were they? Like, there's a house in my neighborhood that they just lost so much property. They have this giant front yard, and I'm like, what? They're not doing anything with that space when they could have had. I can't.
I tell my wife, I love my house. My house is 1 year old, not even 1 year old.
Beautiful house.
Thank you. My wife, she's the one that makes it look beautiful.
Yeah.
Changing the decor now she just put Easter, man. I'll show you the video.
Wow.
My house is full of bunnies right now. And next week is going to be full of 4th of July.
She did Thanksgiving.
She did Thanksgiving. I mean, she just changed the house, the decor, according to the season. Drives me crazy. But it looks beautiful. So I was going to say, I love my house, but to this day, my office is still not done.
Wow.
Because I don't like it. It's too small.
Yep.
I say, if I could sell my house, if I could find someone that gives me the money that I asked for, I'll sell it.
Really?
Yeah.
Just because I don't like.
Why don't you like the office? I need to come over.
Because it's too small.
Why haven't you got your wife in there? Like, but you can do really amazing things with
Because
small spaces.
we always fight about it, how the way that I want it, it won't fit. Because it's too small.
What, you want a giant desk?
I want like a couch, like a sofa and stuff. But so we don't get really like 30 minutes in
You get a
why I
recliner.
hate my office.
You have space of a recliner.
My point will be, if I could find someone that will pay me the price that I will ask for my house,
Yep.
even though I love it, I'll sell it just because I don't like my office.
And I built an office in my garden, but what I did was, it's actually a bedroom. It has its own full bathroom and shower and everything. So now my 3-bedroom home became a 4-bedroom home, but I use it as my office. So when I do go to resell it, I resell it as a 4-bedroom home with 1 bedroom on the ground floor. So if anyone can't go up steps, they can use it.
Mm-hmm.
But like, this is like experience, like kind of stuff of like, like when building vacation rentals, try and make sure that one of the floors is on the ground floor. Because again, if like multi-generation, depending on how many bedrooms it is, we always try and put one bedroom on the ground floor. Says the guy building 6 treehouse villas with no bedrooms on the ground floor.
Yeah, well, one day you and your wife can move into that on the ground floor too, and then have your kids or caretakers above.
I bought my house 20 years ago. I haven't moved out. Like, I'd love a bigger house. I just love my neighbors, man, and my community. I don't lock my door. The kids all run around together.
It is a nice community. I went in there.
If I sell it, I'll move to the same community. I just buy a lot next door or whatever and rebuild again. But my point is that I love my house. I just don't like my office.
Okay, what if
and my office is not even done. That's what I'm saying.
But is it external or is it part of the house?
It's part of the house. It's like an extra room.
When is your kid moving out? Then make her room into your office whenever.
They're not moving out.
You don't move her into the office?
Yeah,
Latino families.
Yeah,
they never move out to get married.
Like my oldest one, she's 22, 23. And she's like,
Really?
Yeah.
Oh my God. Yesenia's 18. Time to go.
That's what you think. Remember,
Just wait till
she's
you're
born
there.
Tika.
Wait till you're there, right?
Exactly.
gonna go there.
Remember, she's Tika. She's born Tika.
She's very independent. She asked me the other day to leave her alone. We're in the car. She goes, "Can you leave me home alone for 3 days?" And I'm like, that's a lot. I don't think so. I don't know. She's pretty independent. I
Well,
think she'll be
my
itching to get
youngest, I told you, Sarah. Remember, we have what was her name as a guest?
out. Crystal.
Crystal. My youngest daughter, she's 15, and she's already planning on moving, studying in the States, and making a career out there and
Good
stuff.
for her.
In 3 years, you got your office,
Maybe.
right?
Maybe. But yeah, I think going back to your question, buy if you can. If you're going to build, like, just be ready for it. It's going to hit some challenges. And like, I have tons of advice on what to do and what not to do. But really is, we play inspector, we play project managers on roles, making sure stuff gets done on time, decisions are made so that like your project doesn't go on longer, because the longer it goes on, the more expensive it gets.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we typically bid the project out to 5 different companies. Then we come back and like then lay everything out so the client can see what the price of everything is.
So for people that is watching out there, I just want to do this quick thing. So I got money and I want to build in Costa Rica.
Don't do it. No, I'm joking.
Yeah.
Go on.
Yeah. So I want to do this exercise. I come and I hire you to help me look at different lots, and you give me your options on where is best to do it at. And then you help me with the architect, and then you help me find the right construction people.
Correct.
That's how it works?
Yeah, I mean, like if you were like, hey, Rich, I got $1 million, I want to invest it in Costa Rica. I think I want to, typically what it is I want to build a house in Costa Rica that maybe I'm going to use a couple of weeks of the year, and then I want to be able to rent it out for the rest of it and make a return. I'm like, cool. Is there a part of Costa Rica that you like? Because if it's lifestyle, then it's
let's do an exercise. I like Grecia. Grecia is very nice. Very,
Cool.
very.
Then I would say, okay, you know, is this 100% business, or you're also going to live in it part of the year?
I'm going to live 3 to 6 months throughout the year.
Okay. How many bedrooms you need?
4.
Okay. So, I mean, like, I'd be like, okay, is it going to be better in probably a closed community is going to be better over the long term in
Gated
Grecia.
community.
Gated
right.
community is going to be better just because like you've got the Evolution free trade zone going in there. You've got all these condominiums and everything going
Right.
in. And I think people are used to that. Like if you're not there, you just lock it and leave it, if that makes sense.
Exactly.
You know, a 4-bedroom house, if you're not going to be there to then rent it in Grecia, we need to look at the data, like the vacation rental data. And a lot of the time it's not there in those areas. So we'd have to kind of like extrapolate a little bit and go like, this is what we think it's going to be for you. But we're just going to go, look, your land's going to cost this. This is how much it's going to cost you to build. This is what your cash flow is going to look like. So this is what your return's going to be like, even from the beginning, even before we started and gone out and looked at land.
Okay.
Then we go is like, you know, are you okay?
What happened?
I'm fine.
Inside joke?
I was literally thinking about something from yesterday. I'm sorry. I'm fine.
Now you gotta tell. Now you gotta tell us. We want to know.
My wife was in stitches last night in bed because she was watching this guy eat this empanada that was too hot, going, and then they put a rap music to it, and she was in stitches to it over.
I'm sorry. I was just thinking about something from yesterday.
Sounds good. You're gonna have to tell us what it is.
Yeah.
now.
So
Can you tell us what it is or not?
Can you tell?
I don't think she can.
It's just something from the car ride.
Okay.
All right. So just to wrap it up. So from the get-go, without even going out to see the land.
We'll do the analysis. Like, I need to really understand what your goals are to then go, okay, look, on paper, this is what it looks like. This is your house size is going to be this. This is what your lot size is going to be like. And then we go out and we source all those of like, so that like when you're coming into country, we take you around all these different areas to show you certain things, you know, and we know a lot of the areas already and be like, this is a good investment. This one is a little bit more risky. This is probably not what you want to do.
Okay. So bottom line, I pay you so you can hold my hand and take care of me. I don't get ripped off. I don't get like...
Nobody loses money with us, dude.
All right.
Like, it's like, I'm like, you're not losing money on my watch. You're not getting screwed on my watch.
All right.
But really, I think it's, we give you perspective so you can make an informed decision, whatever that decision may be. And sometimes I've said to clients before I don't think you should do this, you know, and they're like, what? And I'm like, I had a client who was going to sell their North Shore property in order to invest in a vacation rental in Costa Rica. And I was like, wait, let's just run the numbers on your North Shore stuff. And we did. And she was making like 11%. And I was like, you're not going to make that in Costa Rica easy. Like, you're not. Why would you do that? Why would you not just take your 11% from up there and take a vacation every year down to Costa Rica? Like, it doesn't make any sense. You know, she's like, wow, I didn't think about it. So we also play kind of financial advisor a little bit on this stuff of like, if someone's going to be like, oh, well, I'm going to get a loan in Costa Rica. And it's like, well, you're probably going to be paying like 9 to 12%. Do you own a property in the US? You can get a HELOC loan and maybe they get 5%, 5.5%, you know? And so I'm always looking at numbers going, look, this is going to be the best way financially for you to do this. And then if they need help doing that, then we also do that with them. But for me, I try and be the emotion. No, I try and be the logic so you can kind of enjoy the emotion part of it. So you don't need to go down and start crunching numbers and everything. We've already done that for you, man. Like, just enjoy it. And I say that even in the building process of like, we're there so you can just make fun decisions. You don't get to figure out all of the bidding and having to deal with like, you know, all of the permitting and we just make things happen. Like, we just keep the ball rolling.
All right.
You know.
All right.
Love it.
It's been fun.
It's been
You
fun.
should tell us about that joke.
I was about to say, I'm interested to
Yeah,
know what
exactly.
this is,
I'm
man.
interested too. As soon as we cut off here, we need to
It
know
was a
what
chat
happened there.
GPT thing. It was a
Okay.
chat GPT thing.
Oh my God, you and ChatGPT. Oh my
I
God.
use it a lot, man, as well.
We call it Sheila now.
Yeah, but
Sheila, it's
she
got
got
a
a
name.
name for her ChatGPT.
Wow.
She talks to ChatGPT as a friend.
Oh, it knows everything about me.
I use it to question some of my assumptions.
Well, I asked ChatGPT about my business to help me make, posts, Facebook reviews and stuff. Sarah talks to ChatGPT because
My
that's
therapist.
her best friend.
It's my therapist. So basically, yesterday, I asked
Sheila.
it something.
You are Sheila. You are
I asked
Sheila, yeah.
Sheila. I actually got kind of mad at Sheila because
She gave you a bad recommendation?
I felt like she was gaslighting me a little. So I kind of called her out on it, and then she wrote down this really nice message, and there was so much information about me in there. And one of my friends was reading it aloud, and there was just some things that were like, "Wait, Sarah, how much are you telling your ChatGPT? Like,
All your
how
life.
much does it know about you?" And I'm like, I don't know.
Sarah, at this
I don't know why I
point,
thought of it.
remember when we were growing up as kids, like we have a diary and you will write everything in your
Yeah.
diary? She does that with ChatGPT.
It knows everything. I
Wow.
update it on everything.
I don't know if that's a good or bad thing.
We'll find out.
We don't know either.
We'll find out,
So
right?
watch the next episode. We'll keep you posted on Sarah
I'm
and
on
Sheila.
ChatGPT. I'm gonna go door to door.
Sheila.
spread the good word of ChatGPT on this podcast at least.
I pay for it.
I do too.
I do too.
Because it's like you've reached your limit. I'm like,
Yeah.
no.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I pay for it because it helps me out with my post and everything. And so,
Yeah.
but
I don't know. It
she's
just popped in my head. I was paying attention. I swear. It just popped
she's
in
your daily diary.
my daily diary. And there's something popping in my head. And then when I get the giggles, I'm sorry.
Can you
it's
imagine
over.
having a fight with ChatGPT?
Man, I
How about
just,
yourself?
It was like trying to make me feel better and everything too.
good for Sheila.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like what Sheila did, she was like, "It's okay, Sarah."
I'll let you read it later. I'll let you read it.
All right. Thank you, Rich,
You're
for
welcome. Thank you.
being with us. I'll definitely hit you up in the future with some ideas that I might have or things that
Sure.
I'll do in my own. If you ever need rental cars in Costa Rica, you got me.
Sounds good, man. Appreciate it.
All right.
All right. See you guys
See you
next week.
later.
I can't.
Esto fue una producción de La Resortera.